Hello, everybody. My name is Stephen McGettigan, and I am the founder of Futsal Focus, a media and promotional company for the futsal industry. You can visit our official website at www.futsalfocus.net and follow us across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Today is the launch of the pilot episode of Futsal and Proud by Futsal Focus, and I'm delighted to welcome our first guest to the show, Spain's captain and a born leader, professional futsal player Carlos Ortiz. Joining him is his current club's head of international projects at ACCS Futsal Club, Awais Chaudry. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for agreeing to be my first guest on Futsal and Proud. I'm delighted to have you on.
Pleasure, guys. A pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you. I'm delighted to have you, like I said, guys. So let's jump in. I've prepared some questions and I'm really excited to get into this. So, Carlos, you have 6 Spanish League titles, 4 Futsal Euros, 3 Futsal Champions Leagues, a born leader and fierce competitor, and arguably one of the finest players to come into Spain in the past decade. With your medal collection, and now you find yourself in France. What was it about ACCS Futsal Club that made you think it was time to leave arguably the best league in the world? I know Brazilians listening to this may not agree, but arguably the best league in the world to compete in. So why France? Why a developing futsal nation? Why now?
Well, it was a difficult decision in my life, in my career, and I never really it wasn't just only for one reason. No? I have been 12 years in Movistar Inter. I think it's the best club in the world and the best league, and play it at home, with the national team too, and all of this. I think this is many matches and a great stress for me. No? So I have always say that I wanted to play in other countries. And get the chance to know other cultures, to speak other languages. And it was a challenge for me because I needed a change. And I think that it was the best for me and for the club too. So talking about ACCS, the product was very attractive for me because I carry on playing with Ricard, with Velasco, and I will have the chance to play in the French league and also learn French.
And how is your French language learning going then? How's that been for you? Have you been studying French?
Yes, I'm studying, but this is difficult for me. You know that studying language is really difficult.
And so when you like you said, you've been at Inter for so long, and obviously making this decision to come to France was helped by having your teammates come with you. And how has that been for all of you as a group? Has it been has it been challenging? Did you settle in? Did you settle in very quickly, and how was the first few months?
Well, it was more easy than if I went alone. Mm-hmm. But it was difficult because the French language is new for me. I never speak French before, so Awais can say you.
I think our level of French is probably the same.
Yeah, but nowadays I'm really happy to take this decision because I'm good in French in Paris. With the COVID is different. I can enjoy all that I want, but I'm okay. I'm good.
And how did they sell the project to you? What was it when you heard them say come to ACCS in France that you thought, definitely this is something that I want to be a part of?
Whoa, I don't know, because I think the ACCS project is very ambitious. Mm-hmm. And I looked at an opportunity for me and for the French futsal for improve the level in France and for the level of the club. So all is important for me.
Mm-hmm. And always following on from what Carlos has said, can you tell us about ACCS Futsal Club and what do you think is special about the club and project? They've attracted you to the club to work for them. So, can you tell us a little bit more?
What? Sorry.
Yeah, no, you can.
no, sorry.
Feel free to jump in, Carlos. No, it's what's been. I mean, in the short amount of time that the club's been in existence, I would say a lot has happened, a lot has taken place. A lot of it happened before I came on board. But in the short space of time that I've come on board, obviously I learned the roots and the ethos of what the club was. For the listeners, I would say if you want a full bit more detailed history, I would definitely refer to one of the articles on that I obviously had done with yourself, Stephen, on Futsal Focus. But in a nutshell, the club basically stemmed out from a social project, so socio-economic project in one of the suburbs, or covers two of the suburbs in Paris. And from there, it was really the idea of providing the existing generation at the time and the next generation with socio-economic, sports, education initiatives and projects. And from there, that's where the club came about. And it's really it really was a project that at that time was to present the club as an opportunity and an example that regardless of your background, even if you have opportunities in education, socioeconomic factors and sports, or if you don't, you can still achieve great things if you put your mind to it. And if you're part of, and so hence on the back of that, the ACCS project was built. Now, in the very early days, like many new clubs, you start at the bottom and you've got to work your way up. And with the planning in place, the execution that our president and some of the other kind of heads of the club that they took and they did in the early days, that basically set the foundations for where the club is today. They set themselves objectives, goals that had to be realistically achievable. And when they were able to achieve that, then of course you're able to kind of build upon that success. They're small at the time, when you are starting at the bottom, and this is for any club in any developing nation, futsal nation, where, if you're starting at the bottom, there are certain smaller milestones that you have to set yourself, and they've got to be realistic. It's very easy for any club that is ambitious and, they have a long-term strategy or long-term goal to say, well, I want to get to the top and I want to be the best team or best club in my league, in the country. It's very easy to say, especially if you don't have the recommended kind of milestones and smaller goals along the way. Now, that's where we kind of started off from. And of course, the ambition, even like Carlos mentioned as well, has played a big part in where we are today and what we want to achieve. I would say very openly that, France has made some great strides in the futsal world. They have, but we're not there. I may be criticized for this by some in France, but we are not yet at the level of the Spains and the Portugals and the Brazilian leagues. And we have got a lot of work to do. We've got a long way to go, but of course, each step is crucial, and to ensure that we achieve each step successfully, we need to ensure that we have the right infrastructure, the right personnel. Carlos is definitely one of those individuals who plays a big part in that, along with Ricardo and Bruno and Abdul Samad. And if you put that all together, that's when things start falling into place. So there's a lot of background work that goes on and that has gone on, that when you see the other side, you don't know about it as well. So, with that being said, I might be digressing here slightly, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of development. Our aim is not to be a one-season wonder. That's to put it very simply. We have a long-term plan, a long-term ambition to ensure that the club is sustainable, that French futsal is sustainable. We as a club took the initiative to develop and drive that further by taking these steps that I've mentioned, and these are only some of the steps to ensure that France, as a developing futsal nation, develops well and builds that sustainability. But of course, what we want to do as well is also use what we're doing and what we've done to encourage other futsal clubs in France. Of course, we have to initially work domestically and encourage them as well to say, look, we have achieved this so far, you can do the same. And ultimately, if we can do that collectively with other French futsal clubs as well, then French futsal as a whole will develop and build that sustainability.
Right. No, everything you said there is perfect, honestly, and very interesting, because, as you know, in England at this moment in time, there's a lot of uncertainty, and people are trying their best to collectively come together to push the game forward, which is why you have the launch of the English Futsal Clubs Association. But what's interesting for me from ACCS as a club is that the like you said, it started from a social background. It started with trying to help their community. And for me, I think it's fantastic what they've been able to achieve on the back of that. And I've been saying this for so long in the UK and Ireland when it comes to futsal clubs, that a lot of them wanted to jump from go past amateur, go past semi-pro, go straight to, professional. And, and there's so many steps in between. And in a short period of time, some of them are wanting to build, flamboyant, big facilities, which cost a lot of money. When we don't necessarily have the market, you build the market and then you facilitate a market. You don't facilitate a small growing market when they mightn't be able to cover your costs and sustain you, because then you've nothing to facilitate because there's no market. You're trying to sustain yourself and building at the same time. It's very difficult. So it's interesting, like how has, before we move on to the next question, and it just came out of my mind because of what you were talking about, how has ACCS been able to sustain itself up until this point? How has ACCS been able to, from that social background, was it the partnerships that bringing these two clubs together helped that? Was it bringing on more people and expertise? Can you give us a wee bit of, you don't have to go into every detail because I'm sure that's a big question, but just a bit of a summary would be perfect, just to give people watching this an idea of how you go like from the social and then build those partnerships to be able to expand like that.
Sure. So, there's no silver bullet, to put very simply. However, a lot of this activity was around and was undertaken before my time, in fact. But when you're engaged with community, I'm going to say community in a very broad sense. There are multiple angles, multiple facets, multiple people that you're having to engage with. And yes, you are going to have people who are for the type of project you're involved with. You're going to have those who are against that as well. And it really is about creating that balance. Balance in terms of the partnerships with various types. So we're talking about financial backers. We're talking about beyond that as well. So, your supporters, and I don't mean from a fan's perspective, but supporters for your project who understand the long-term goals, the long-term ambitions. Sorry, that's all, of course, very important. For our club, the social element is still a fabric of what the club is about. You can see that, and it's very evident in our first team. We have a good mix of experienced, professionals like Carlos who have played at the highest levels in the world. And then you have a core developing group of French, local French players as well. And again, it's really about infusing both of those. One of the, I think if you're able to present a project which is not short term, I think that is a very crucial aspect of it. And I think that's what's kind of worked for us. We've always presented an idea for the project as a whole, which has been long term, because again, you're talking about a whole host of positive aspects that you're looking to bring for a part of society over a longer term. No one's interested in things that are only going to be lasting 1 to 2 years.
But I think you showed proof. I think you showed proof at that beginning stage, though. Like you went for a number of years just playing recreationally, just enjoying the
Absolutely.
sport
Yeah.
and giving people the opportunity. And I think what you have done as a club is show stage by stage your ability to deliver. And when you're able to deliver and you're able to achieve, it makes people more confident to back you. And you've done that from the social end, stepping into more of the high amateur level of the game when you were making your way through the tiers. Then you did at the semi-professional end when you were able to bring a few players in that you were paying, and you secured the futsal, the French Cup. I think it's the French Futsal Cup, right? And you were the first club to ever do it. Who wasn't in the first two levels, and then
that's right.
So I think what's brilliant and perfect about your club is that you have the people around you that when you say you're going to do something, you have the history to say, well, we do it. So why would you not back us? You know. So moving on to the next question. We mentioned. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
The best example is there are two players playing with us. One of them is Mamadou, 19 years old, and yesterday he played his first match with the French national team.
Oh, right.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
With 19, and other mate Salah, he played last year in 4th or 5th division of football, and he played with us in the 1st division of France. This is the best example.
Yeah,
these are the stories. Yeah, you know, Stephen, these are the type of stories and examples that you can take to whoever it is you're speaking to on whichever topic, just to show, you know, the journey that these players have taken as part of the club as well to kind of get to that.
No, definitely. So, but moving on to the next question. We mentioned already, Carlos, what you've achieved in your career. Looking back, though, which is really interesting for me, was because based on how successful you've been, I mean, was football ever an option for you? Why futsal?
Well, look, when I was young at the school, we have only 3 options to play, and it's handball, basketball, or futsal. And I have a brother 1 year older than me. And as you well know, that when you're a child, you want to do the same as your brother. And he decided to play futsal. So 1 year later, I started to play futsal. And here I am. I think that it was a good decision, I think. And I tried to play football once or twice, but I didn't like so much because I didn't touch the ball for a long time, and I stay, and I didn't enjoy. So I prefer futsal.
So for people watching, you know, you have a lot of people argue about how in Spain kids are playing football and futsal. You know, isn't it true that for a lot of kids out there, they're just playing futsal, not football whatsoever? That's the only thing they're interested in, like you did as well.
Yes, but there are similar sports, but with many differences. So if you play futsal, it's not football, it's futsal. And it's like you say to some tennis player to play paddle, you know? It's similar, but it's a different sport.
And is it normal in Spain to talk about futsal as a development tool for football? Is that normal?
Yes.
It is normal.
It's all over the world. People look at futsal like a mini school of football.
No, the reason why I ask that is that just on the, you know, this topic, like why futsal, you know, and football, it's that recently conversations I have been involved in has been about using this futsal as a development tool for football to market our sport. A lot of people think that at the beginning, yes, you can understand why to use that because it helps attract a lot of young people to the sport very quickly. However, in the longer term, though, because you've spent many years, say, speaking to sponsors, speaking to the media, speaking to the people in your country, and you've put a mindset in that futsal is a development tool for football, and people have been telling me that they think now that may be damaging futsal later as a product, as an identity to be separate from futsal. Would you agree with that?
Oof, I think that futsal it's a good development for football, that being different sport. But if you want to be, I always say that I want to play futsal, not football. Mm-hmm. I always say, but for business it's different, because if you want to obtain more money, maybe you have to say that is the development of the football. You know?
Yeah, at this time, because of the way football is so big, it's aligning it. I understand what you mean. It's just been interesting.
Sorry for my English.
No. Don't be saying that. Absolutely fine. Awais, how about you? What do you think for the club and international projects and presenting futsal to people who otherwise don't know the sport? Do you feel there still needs to be an emphasis to use futsal as a development tool for football?
So I'll say I'll probably start with my personal one. Thoughts on this. So I think my personal thoughts is I'm a big advocate of promoting futsal as a standalone sport. Mm-hmm. I've got it out there, so I feel so that's a weight off my shoulders. But again, you've got to be realistic and look at the markets, the environments. Yes, when individuals, clubs are trying to use it as a tool for promoting, I understand. I may not 100% agree with it, but I understand where they come from. I'm going to throw a curveball in here, though. Mm-hmm. I also feel that there ought to be maybe some cross-sport promotion as well. So, for example, something that a lot of people don't know is that I'm also quite a handball fan as well. Balonmano, right, Carlos? So, with handball, now, for those who are not familiar with it, when you see, if you're going to watch a handball game, the first thing you'll realize is the court, the playing court. It's pretty much the same. Goalkeeper area is pretty much the same. Of course, you're not kicking a ball. You're using your hands. But of course, there are certain similarities. And I think, again, I can't give any advice on what strategy or what you should do how to help promote that. But if we're looking to help grow the sport, find other similarities that you feel could work, because then you're automatically targeting another complementary market rather than competing market. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something which in Spain, from my understanding, has worked well, because handball, balonmano is very popular there as well. Same goes in Portugal. In France, again, in Germany as well. It's handball as a standalone sport is very big. When someone looks at handball, they don't think, oh, that's like basketball. So you see, in that sport they made that distinction, and hence why the first point that I made, that I am very much an advocate for having futsal as a standalone sport. That's one of the reasons why, because I'm trying to think about what other markets can be attracted to this that are complementary and not necessarily competing. I think with football, whilst there are similarities, yes, whilst there is a focus that our sport of futsal can help develop football players, totally agree with that. But we can have a distinction as well. And it's really, and maybe handball is not that cross-sport promotion that should be taken. Maybe it's another sport. It really is up to clubs to kind of see what works for them. Because I mean, if you're in a city and you're trying to grow your club and you're thinking about a cross-sport partnership, well, you may not have a handball club in your city. Mm-hmm. You may not have a basketball club. Then what do? You may be limited to that, where you'd have to approach and partner with football clubs. So it really depends. It really depends on the market.
I agree. I really do. I absolutely agree. It's just interesting for me hearing different opinions from different countries, and that's a few people have said those type of things to me. Like when we've talked about it before, when you look to America, people in America know that Allen Iverson, one of the biggest basketball players that ever played, his development was helped by American football. He was an excellent American football player, hand-to-eye coordination. Both sports are hand-to-eye coordination. and he chose to play basketball. No one get angry about that, because for decades, these two sports have helped each other with players, crisscross. You know, some played both and the other happened to choose American football, you know? So from the way I've looked at it and what I've said to people who have said that to me, you know, oh, I don't like, you know, using futsal as a promotion, as a development tool for football, which, like I said, I understand, but it's a fact, and we have to embrace our history. We have so much to be proud of. We have given football many talented young players, and we have every right to say that they developed through futsal. But at the same time, we have every right to say we have amazing players like Carlos, who are individually talented, just like any football player, and they're talented for futsal. And we develop futsal players. That is our core practice. Our core function is to develop futsal players. If a child decides to play football, then that child has every right to choose football, just like a child has the right to choose handball, American football, baseball, or whatever sport, you know. So I completely agree. So Carlos,
our main problem, I think, that in Spain or in France or Portugal, everybody know who is futsal, no? What is futsal? You say futsal, and everybody know. But you go some countries and you say, hey, I'm futsal player. What? Futsal? What is this? This is our problem. This is our main problem.
I've got another, just to kind of add on to that as well, Carlos, is that, you know, there's something that I've picked up, and I'm sure, you know, anybody else can agree with this, but it's something that we just don't really talk about much. We don't, you know, think about this too much, is that, you know, if you were to go to any youth futsal, take any club, you know, in your town, in your city, and you go there and you see some of the kids, you know, who are playing, and let's just say even recreational adults, you know, you see the jerseys that they're wearing, you know, it could be Real Madrid, it could be AC Milan, it could be PSG, it has Mbappe at the back, it has, you know, whoever at the back. When was the last time, and I pose this question, this is a question I'll actually put out to any coach out there who runs a club, who coaches, and say, how many of your players do you see wearing an ACCS shirt or an Inter Movistar shirt or a Industrial Santa Coloma shirt? You know, how many of our youth players are able to connect with the existing pool of players like Carlos, like Ricardinho, like Bruno, like, you know, Sergio Lozano? How can they? So I think even whilst we have these barriers that we're trying to jump over in terms of how we're connecting with people outside, even internally, there are, and that's just one barrier that I mentioned, we have a lot of barriers internally that we quite honestly, collectively have not done that great in to conquer, to be honest. I would love to see at my, you know, at the next youth session that I go to, or next club I see, I would love to see them wearing an Ortiz shirt with, you know, ACCS Ortiz at the back, you know. I'll take a picture of it. I'll send that to you.
I 100% agree. I've thought it many times, you know. I think our industry, like you said, the best way, like it was perfect, was connect, because even internally, I have met people in different countries and from different countries and spoke to them about futsal, and they love it. They when they start to talk about it, they're so passionate in terms of playing. But when you ask them about their local teams, or if you ask them about their national team, or if you ask them about the FIFA Futsal World Cup or the UEFA Futsal Champions League, they don't know. You know, so when people say to me, oh, we need to bring more people to the sport, and we do, that you always have to bring more people to the sport. It's important, obviously. But like you said, we have so many existing futsal fan base, existing futsal players, millions of people around the world that we need to connect with. You know, we need to get them passionate and interested in following their local club, following their national team, wanting to know how they perform at that level. And to be honest with you, I think for clubs to do that, they have to do what ACCS has done, and that is connect at the social level, connect with their community. You're within a 5-mile radius of your club. they should all know the names of the players of your team. They should all know who you are. They should all know what your values are. They should all know what you do for your community. And if they don't know, that is a problem, because why are you telling the rest of the world when next door doesn't know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You know,
it's that approach of trying to run before you walk.
yeah, and I think that's a big thing in futsal, because we keep looking to football and we have to stop it. We have the same governing bodies, but reaching the level of soccer and football in terms of commercialization and that type of money is many years away. We need to perfect what we are doing now and do it better. So I 100% agree. How about you, Carlos? Do you agree?
Yes, I'm totally agree. But
Yeah.
I think that our main goal has to be create more reference, more mirrors that the children can see themselves. No,
Mm-hmm,
you know?
mm-hmm.
This is our goal now. More Ricardinhos, more Sergio Lozano, more Ferraus, and then children start to talk about us.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No, I agree. I want, because when you think of it, like, guys, over the Euro qualifiers, before I move to the next question, I put up 3 or 4 videos. I think yeah, 4. Yeah, let's go with 4. I think it was 4 videos, right? And 3 of them individually have had 2 million people watch them. So 6 million people have watched, which is just incredible.
Yes.
Like when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, like the videos were getting like 25 and 30 and 40,000 likes, getting 10,000 shares. It was just incredible. So, more and more, like, people are going to start to know the names of players. They're going to start to know the names of clubs, and I'm excited. Like, when I hear people talking negatively about futsal, I'm like, put the brakes on here, open your eyes, because our sport is going in the right direction. It might be going slow in other places and fast in others, but it's still going in the right direction. And when you see that, put a smile on your face, because 5 years from now, it's going to be even bigger. 5 years after that, it's going to be even bigger. So I don't know about you, but I'm so excited. I can't wait. I think it's great. So moving on.
I wanted to add.
Sorry, go ahead.
So I wanted to add, Stephen. I think what you've been doing with Futsal Focus has really helped bridge that connection, especially with the English speaking community, or just communities outside of some of the domestic leagues. Obviously for us as a club, a lot of our focus is on the domestic front. Naturally, we're a French club. But that's why I was on board to kind of look after everything related to international, and obviously that includes engaging with with great platforms like Futsal Focus, and really trying to get the message out there of our club, but of our players, of great personalities like Carlos as well, who can who players, whether they're in the UK, whether they're in the US or Malaysia, are who they get to watch Carlos, but they don't get to connect on this level. And this is definitely bridging those gaps as well. So
it is indeed. It is indeed. I completely agree. So thank you so much for that. People don't know, I've been doing Futsal Focus for 8 years now, and it's something that I just absolutely love. And so everything I do it with pure love for the sport, and thank you for that recognition. I really appreciate that. So moving on to the next question, Carlos, the Primera Division, RFEF as it's now known, for so long I was about to say LNFS, sorry, because that's how I know it. But now the Primera Division, RFEF, is considered the best futsal league in the world by many. And now that you find yourself in a developing futsal nation, do you think you can still continue with futsal? Do you think you could, sorry, let me start that again. Do you think you would have still continued, I meant to say, with futsal if the pathway to professionalism and the national team wasn't there? And I asked this question because of the situation that as we have touched on already with England, plus the fact that futsal has a long way to go in France to reach the professional level of the Primera Division RFEF. So continuing with the original question, do you think you would have continued with futsal if the pathway to professionalism and the national team wasn't there? And what would you say to kids in England and France to inspire them to get involved in futsal or to continue in the sport?
Oh, I don't know. When I was young, I had reference, like we said before, like when I was young, it was Paulo Roberto, was Carosini, was Vicentine, Spanish players, Brazilian players, and other great players. And I think that that we need this kind of reference, this kind of mirrors, where to look at ourselves in the future, no? Mm-hmm. And probably if I wouldn't have this kind of reference when I was young, I wouldn't have continued with playing futsal. Maybe not. Mm-hmm. But I will say to the kids that is watching us that they have to play a sport. No, I don't care if it's futsal or basketball or football. No, I don't care. But they have to do a sport. Mm-hmm. Because for me, in my life, a sport is my life. Is healthy experience. Is friends. For me, it's all really. A sport is all. It's futsal. For me, it's all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No,
I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say to Carlos as well. Just following on from what he said, I think not in all cases. I think the importance that sport plays is underestimated, and this isn't just in France. I think this is a global thing, mm-hmm. And of course, as we're finding, especially with the pandemic, the role that sport as a whole plays, is so fundamental to the well-being of, youth, adults, male, female. It really doesn't matter. The impact that it has, socio-cultural, mental health. It's all related, and I think we're finding that out, especially with the unfortunate, circumstances that we're in, where, many countries, I should say, not many clubs, many countries are unable to play it, unable to go out and kick a ball or bounce a ball. Obviously, for us, in our case, being an indoor sport, futsal is for those who are actively engaged in the sport. It's a big part of our life, and I say that that I feel it's underestimated is because my background is actually not directly within sport. Actually, in fact, it's with IT, which has clearly no reference, sorry, no relation as such. But it's, again, the role that sports has always had for me personally as well, and specifically futsal. I know what that feeling is like as well, and so I guess I would be saying that as a person who has experienced that and understands the importance that sport has within my life. And I'm sure there's many other people around the world who can probably share the same story.
I think it's interesting that Carlos touched on a couple of players' names that he had as reference, because when I think of now where things are here, and you look at, people struggling to find how can we connect children to futsal, connect teenagers to futsal. And for me, the word's always opportunity, and when you see all these clubs thinking about their club, which they do have to promote, you have Liam Palfreeman playing in Italy. You have Alice Evans playing in Italy, and she lives in Sardinia, just off the coast, I would say, of Italy, but still, she's playing professional futsal. She's playing in the A2 and he's playing in the Serie B. And I think that it's really important to promote those players abroad, to show, because yes, right now, for me, that target market at that age group would be like 18 to 25, because at the level that they're playing at, they're not going to be making huge amount of money, okay, until they get to, if they're lucky, to the Serie A or in Italy, or they get to, to Spain in the top division there as well. make money to think, well, I can make this a career now. But even at that, there are young players out there who do want to go abroad. They do want to experience that. They want to play, and yet the Liam and Alice are not being used a lot to promote futsal at home. And I think that is a missed opportunity if the clubs don't do that. Would you agree?
Absolutely. To put very simply, I think Liam and Alice as well, they're flying the flag, to be very honest. There's no other way I can put it. They're really flying the flag, and they're being the torchbearers for the country. And it's they should be. I totally agree that they should be followed, promoted a lot more. And of course, I wish them both the best in their current positions, and also moving forward as well. And hopefully that can continue.
Mm-hmm. Well, moving on, guys. Before I ask the next question, let me just say congratulations to both of you and the club on reaching, the round of 16 of the UEFA Futsal Champions League. I know this is a historic achievement for the club, and I could see on the day when you won the penalty shootout how happy everyone was, and the ecstatic on the court and celebrating with the people who were allowed to be there but still celebrating. But let's look at the match against Pescara. Carlos, what did you think of the performance, and where do you feel improvements are needed?
Well, it was a great night, an amazing match, an incredible night for the club and for French futsal too, and with a happy ending for us, in these penalties. We know that Pesaro was really difficult because they have a lot of great players, international players, and they are very competitive. And we know that the match was really, really difficult. But we have a great team too. We have international players too, international French players, Portuguese, Españoles, and I think we deserve. I think we did better than them, and we deserve this qualification for the next round.
Mm-hmm.
And the next round will be different. Barcelona is totally different. Barca is top level, is the current champions. And I think that we have to go to enjoy the match and to be competitive, and I'm sure that if we do our game, we'll have our chance to pass to the next round.
And you spent so much time at Inter, like you said. How are you feeling about wearing another team's jersey from another country in Spain? Are you excited? Is this going to be really different for you?
Yes, playing against Barcelona always is exciting, always is special, because Inter and Barca is very rival, and I think that's a special game for me, for Ricard, for Velasco, because we played in Spain a lot of years, but we are now in France and we want to win and pass to the next round.
Mm-hmm. I can tell you, I cannot wait. I'm so excited to see the game. I personally think it's going to be a huge game, and I'll be sharing it across Futsal Focus to make sure as many people watches it as possible. So please make sure Awais to send me the links when you know where it's being shown live, and I'll make sure that it's on the Futsal Focus. And Awais, as the head of international projects, you have to convince people Awais to work with ACCS, as the club, to partner with them. When it comes to this historic achievement for the club, and the next match being the biggest in the club's history, how has the club been trying to drive awareness now, using this, Barcelona is a massive brand, using this achievement to bring the media attention? Because as you know, I interviewed Barcelona's head coach today, and even his own words were the big impact, whether they win or lose, is really in France, not in Spain for us. You may don't agree with that, I don't know, but how are you trying to use this to be a positive, despite the outcome, a positive for the club?
This is Barcelona is a massive club. And their futsal section is very well known within the futsal world. Even those who are not necessarily following futsal as a sport, they know the the image and impact that the club has. You know, for us, I would say domestically, there's a lot of work that has been going on in the background in terms of promoting it locally. And of course, that's, you know, our first kind of channel, and of course that's very important. Obviously, internationally, it's a slightly different ball game. Fortunately, you know, for us, I do have to call out some of our club partners that we have in place as well. You know, Reading Royals Futsal Club from England, New York, Ecuador, out of New York in the US, Futsal Espoir Molenbeek in Belgium as well, and then obviously our ambassador Sebastian Bednaz in Poland as well. And not just, you know, they've done a great job in terms of, you know, filtering through their networks as well. I think that's whether you want to call it word of mouth or network marketing, whatever you want to call it, you know, I think that's quite crucial to our sport in general. But then even outside of our club partners as well, you know, there's a lot of individuals who I'm personally engaged with, like yourself as well, and obviously in your great platform as well, which has been really kind of helping create buzz around this great upcoming match, to be honest. So
and have the French media been engaging with the club, you know, more and more because of this, you know, because of this achievement?
So obviously the domestic team is pretty much out of my remit as well. However, we have been making some waves. You know, I think when you just mentioned Barcelona, in any context, whether if it's their Barcelona basketball team or their football team or their futsal, you know, you're going to be, you know, it will raise a few eyebrows. So I think domestically there is a lot of work that we're continuously doing. We do actually have a show, actually an ACCS show that goes on a weekly basis, and of course that is helping drive you know, local exposure as well to, you know, not just the game but of the sport and the club as well. So there are a number of different ways and channels that we're utilizing.
Okay, well, Carlos, Barcelona are, you know, they've just been voted the biggest club in the world. I know some people didn't agree with that because of Magnus Futsal's. It's been interesting seeing some debate online with Falcao not too happy with a few things. But you have experience playing in these types of games. What are you saying to your teammates at this time ahead of the match to help prepare them mentally to, you know, be excited and comfortable on the court, so you can obviously play at your, you know, your best performance?
Well, it's easy. Enjoy the game. No, we should go to Barcelona to have a good time. No, we have earned the chance to be there and live an historic night for the club and for French futsal. And it's difficult to say only enjoy because we are professional. This is a professional sport, and we have to go to win and pass to the next round. But finally, this is only a game, and we have to enjoy. If we don't enjoy, it's the final for us.
And how do you prepare yourself for a game? Like, for instance, do you ever see in Wolf of Wall Street where Matthew McConaughey's character has this thing where he beats his chest? You know, do you have anything that you do to help you, you know, block out, you know, everything else and just focus on what you have to do? Do you have any tactics or anything that you would recommend to players to try?
No, nothing special. I try to play every game like the other one and the past one. I try to play all the games in the same way. I don't care if it's a final, if it's Champions League, if it's the French league. I don't care.
And see now, like, I hope you don't mind me touching on your age. You know, I'm just saying, like, you're coming now to around about the end of your career. Do you find now with every year it gets easier and easier for you to be able to just relax and just love it now? Like, is it better now than it was, say, 5 years ago, 10 years ago?
No, I think it's the same. I'm not a nervous person. I never had nervous before the match, never. So I think it's the same now that 10 or 12 years ago.
Well, you know, I envy you because when I was playing, I was always nervous going onto the pitch. But I guess the reason for that is that I wasn't very good where you are very good. So that's the difference.
I have to admit, when I've attended some of the training sessions, yeah, the level of intensity is there. I mean, I've actually wanted to go on this court and say, I want to play, I want to train with you guys, but I think I'll probably just ruin the momentum, to be honest. But yeah, so I can second that for Carlos. The intensity levels are there.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, like, I hadn't had a chance really to see professional futsal being coached before, you know, but I watched Fred's, you know, the series, the web series that Magnus done, Vipra Simana Fred, and seeing the guys training and what goes into it was incredible. I just loved it. And if either of you haven't watched it yet, please do. It's incredible. But moving on, so for question for both of you, jump in, you know, whoever's first. Do you think this game is just another game for futsal, or do you think this fixture has the potential to mean much more to the industry?
Wait.
Are you thinking of your answer?
Okay.
So I think it really, in some people's eyes, it could be seen as that David versus Goliath type of scenario. I don't want to necessarily go down that route, but I think as a whole, this match has. I don't want to. I think it's too early to say it's going to be a game changer, because again, if we are expecting overnight changes, it's not going to happen. Or overnight success for the sport as a whole, it's not going to happen. It's going to be gradual. However, I think this is the step. This can be a very good step to help us get to that, and that's what we need to do. If we need to take those baby steps to get to what our ultimate goal is, that will be good. Now, the fact that it's an upcoming club like ACCS that playing against you know, a historic club like Barcelona, it's, you know, there is something special about it. I do feel that. So I think there is, you know, I think there's more to it. I think we'll just have to wait and find out after the fixture's played.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the ACCS project doesn't depend of this game, no? Of course, it will be fantastic to win this match, no? But the most important for us is win the French league, because we will return to the Champions League next year.
Mm-hmm.
So this is most important for us as the game in Barcelona.
Yeah, I like with everything you have said about the ethos of the club, and you know, and the development you're trying to have, you know, for French futsal. I think what you have achieved up to this point, no matter what happens in the game, is really hugely positive. And I think that, like you said, there's, you know, we need this history for the club. You need these memories. You need to have people say they remember it and talk to their kids about that game with ACCS versus, you know, Barcelona in 2021. I remember that game, you know, and you, like you said, Carlos, you need to win the league to make more of those memories, so people can say the next year and the next year, you know, hopefully if you continue to be successful, that, and then those memories build up, and then you can say, yes, that game was the starting point of a history that makes our fans fills them with pride, you know, with joy to be able to talk about it. So no, so very good points, both of you. So the next one for both of you is win or lose, what positives do you hope to take away from the game to help your club and French futsal afterwards?
Well,
Carlos, you're going to go first.
I think it has to be a learning night for us. No, we will play with the current champions, and we have to leave the pitch with the feeling that we have given our best. And obviously, if we win, it will be incredible, sure. But we should understand that the most normal is that we have to lose a lot of times for winning one day to Barcelona in this round. No, so this is a learning night for us. This is the most important, and we have to lead the pitch with, we do all the best for us.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No, I personally can't wait to see the players on, you know, especially after the French performance there. Did you get to see the 4-4 with Armenia? Did you see some of the clips from the game? Yeah. No, I can't wait to see what some of the players will do on the night. Sorry, Awais, I thought you were going to jump in there. Did you want to say something?
No, just going to second Carlos on that. To be honest, it's definitely a learning phase. Obviously, for what I'm involved in, off the court as well, there's a lot of things that we would begin, regardless of the result, to start planning for moving forward, and that's what it's about. I have a certain duty to help get the ACCS brand out there, and it will just be getting planning for the next stage.
Well, coming to the end of the interview now, guys, I just have one last question. So, Carlos, Futsal Focus regularly gets asked by futsal players, what can we do to get noticed by clubs abroad, like in Italy or France and Spain? Would you have any advice for them, and, aspiring players, what they can do to be noticed and get the opportunity to play at the level that you have enjoyed in your career?
Well, I think it's a good question, because I know that it's really difficult for players to achieve this, no? But luckily, today futsal is much more global, and we can watch a lot of matches from all over the world online. But I think that the biggest showcase for the clubs and for the top clubs in these leagues, in Italy, in Spain, in Russia, and Portugal, and France, the most important are the international tournaments with the national teams. No? But I think it's very, very difficult because these clubs want to top level players with an immediate performance, and that can only be achieved by improving the leagues of countries with good investments, signing good coach, for example, Velasco, and good players to help grow up. And I think it's really difficult, no? Exactly like ACCS and Fred Futsal is doing.
And how about you, Awais? Any thoughts on that before we finish?
Well, if I knew the answer to that many years ago, then I'm sure my futsal career would have taken off. In all honesty, it's it has changed over years. Over the years, it has changed a lot. In many developing nations, of course, I coming from a developing futsal country myself, I can picture myself. I can put myself in the shoes of many other players, and even more players to come, who may not get the opportunity to be seen or to be looked at because, I'm not from Spain, where it's in the as Carlos mentioned earlier in the interview, he grew up playing that as well, so it's not in the same way. Of course, the only thing I can hope for is, the advice I would give to the upcoming players in developing nations is don't give up playing. Just don't use futsal as a plan B to say, well, I can't play football, so I'll switch to futsal. There's that type of mindset. And then there's, as Carlos said as well, if you have opportunities for attending local tournaments, international tournaments, take those up. Take those up. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee in whether you're a football player or a futsal player or whatever sport, but just take up those opportunities because you never know. You never know, and I'll kind of keep it to that.
Yeah, no problem. Well, actually, the last thing I would like to ask, just if you don't mind, is, Carlos, have you give any thought to what you would like to do when your career finishes? Have you thought you'd like to go into coaching or anything like that?
This is a great question for ex-players. I don't know. I'm sure that I continue in the sport, in futsal, but I don't know. It's difficult to know that. Coach, I don't like.
No.
No.
I bet you'd be good though, Carlos. I bet you'll be good.
Yes, I think I'll be good, but I don't like the life of coach.
Yeah.
Well, guys, look, thank you so much for coming on to the first show of Futsal and Proud. I hope you enjoyed it. I did. I really have enjoyed it. So thank you so much. And I wish you all the best, and very much looking forward to watching your game against Barcelona, and I'll continue to follow the club and see how he's all get on this season. So thank you so much, and have a great night, guys. Thank you.